So I want to start off today by kind of telling you a little bit of a story about a case study that we are going to publish pretty soon that I will actually send out to all of you that attended today's webinar about SysLogic. SysLogic is a full-service IT consulting and computer repair services firm located in Canton, Texas. Traditionally, their focus and most of their customer base were government and business, government, and hotel customers. And actually, from all the feedback I've gotten from them, specifically government and hotel customers, they have been provider of wireless network solutions for those types of businesses for upwards of 20 years. One of the things that they were doing, or what they did, was they took a massive step back in their business, and they really just started looking at the core of the devices they were using, the features, the functionality they have, the price that they offer, all in an attempt to try to offer their customers a better value, more for their money, better features, more reliability at a lower cost. License-free management options was one of their requirements. Better access points that come in at a lower price point was one of their requirements, and quicker and frankly more streamlined installation was their third major requirement. As I'll show you on the next slide, and I'll cover the many reasons why they did switch over to Grandstream Wi-Fi, access points, routers, and management systems, but they did end up switching all of their customers, including existing deployments that were updated to put in Grandstream GWN series Wi-Fi access points and the GWN Cloud Wi-Fi management platform. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start by kind of going over that, because that obviously is really the core to our mobility solutions, and then I will spend the rest of the webinar kind of talking about all of the different Wi-Fi devices, endpoints, applications that go around that allow you to build true mobility solutions for any type of business. So to start at the basic level, everything that we do, like everything we've done with VoIP and unified communications, everything we do with Wi-Fi is designed to make it easy for our customers, for our resellers to deploy, giving them access to the same features, the same high-end technology you're going to get with other manufacturers, but doing so in an easier to manage, easier to install, and I'm a marketing guy, I hate talking about cost, but at lower cost, really just to allow you to, and in this case, SysLogic, to maximize their customers' deployment budgets. So to start out with, again, the core of our mobility solution, the Wi-Fi access points, routers, and management systems. So we offer free cloud management. GWN Cloud, you can go to gwn.cloud, that's the URL, sign up for it. It is a fully free, enterprise-grade Wi-Fi management platform with no limits on the amount of access points or networks that you can use to manage with GWN Cloud. Offers a fully scalable, centralized management solution, has a web interface, also has a great mobile application, GWN Cloud, which, transitioning to the second thing there, allows you to install and set up access points in literally just taking a picture, essentially, of the barcode. GWN Cloud mobile app allows, which will then go back to your main GWN Cloud platform, allows you to add devices simply by scanning the barcode with the barcode reader within the app. That automatically goes back, adds that access point to your wireless network instantly. So it's literally installing an access point is as easy as scanning a barcode with that mobile app. To go back to the management platform, in addition to the free GWN Cloud platform we offer, which I should mention is not just, we say management, it's obviously for setup, management, ongoing monitoring, maintenance, allows you to set up a variety of real-time, or to access the real-time information about your platform, set up a variety of alerts, a variety of scheduled tasks, basically set up notifications, security protocols. We'll also monitor, and GWN Cloud will use all of that to monitor your platform on an ongoing basis, in addition to allowing you to very easily set up and centrally manage the entire platform. We also do have free Wi-Fi controller software built into the web user interface of any of our APs. That free controller software built into the APs can work with or allows any AP to manage or control up to 30 other Grandstream Wi-Fi access points. Again, that is also free, fully included in the UI for any of those devices. So usually the way we like to say it is if you are looking to really create, one local network with 30 APs or less, the built-in controller in the AP's UI is probably your best option. For anything else, for multi-site, for larger deployments, for managing multiple different clients, for example, GWN Cloud is what you want. We have a full series of access points. I'm going to kind of save that for the next slide, and I'll tell you about no, we didn't include it at the end, but we're in the process of also adding 2 additional access points, which would lead the series to a total of 6. So we pretty much offer the ideal access point in terms of range, in terms of being indoor or outdoor or weatherproof, in terms of supporting roaming, which is something we'll go over later. We pretty much offer the ideal AP for any type of need. They all have built-in QoS, which is kind of a teaser to one of the ways that allows these devices to really be the ideal anchor to a mobility communications platform, is the fact that they have built-in QoS and allow you to prioritize voice and video traffic, for example. A couple other features that allow the devices also to support roaming, which is incredibly important for mobility applications. Whether you're using GWN Cloud or the controller built into every access point, as you see on the far right, and as I pretty much just talked about, we offer a wide variety of different real-time monitoring, alerts, and reports so that you always know what's going on or can get notified, or so that the system, if it senses any security threat that you may set it to look for, it can shut down or push that user out, whatnot. Lots of different options there. So it's not just management, it's for real-time monitoring, alerts, reports to proactively protect your network, whether you're using GWN Cloud or the controller in our access points. So then to go back to SysLogic, here's a quote from Chris Goldsmith, I believe the CTO over at SysLogic, and you can kind of see what with our devices, they were able to actually improve their customers' networks, provide more at a lower price, which frankly has always been one of the central components of the way we build our products here at Grandstream. All right, so let's go into a little bit more detail real quickly on the access points and on GWN Cloud, and then I will begin to introduce you to all of the different endpoints and applications that actually allow you to build these mobile platforms with our Wi-Fi solutions. So we have 4 different access points within our, currently within our portfolio. There are 2 new ones coming soon. One is going to be a very simplified, small, compact, for smaller spaces access point. The other one that we're going to add is going to be a little bit smaller the long-range outdoor access point that's a little bit more powerful than the 7600LR you see here. So moving left to right, give you a real quick description of these devices. The 7630 is the most high-powered within the system, or within the whole platform. Has 4 internal antennas, and that MIMO technology allows it to maximize the amount of signal that each antenna is sending and receiving at the same time. You see, of our other devices, the most you're going to get is 3. These are internal antennas, by the way. So because the 7630 gives you one more internal antenna than the other devices, it can support faster speeds up to 2.33 gigs a second. 175 meter range, 200 clients. All of them have the built-in controller I mentioned earlier. 7600LR is it's a long-range access point. It's built with IP66 certified weatherproof casing, allowing it to be used outdoors as well as indoors for long range. Gives you up to a 300 meter range, which as you can see is 125 meters longer than any of these other access points. So if you're looking for a long-range outdoor access point, the 7600LR is ideal for you. The 7610 and the 7600, I would say, are more kind of your more standard indoor access points. between the two of them, the 7610 is the one you're going to want to choose if you're most interested in offering the fastest speeds that you can, as that offers 1.75 gigs per second, whereas the 7600 is more ideal for supporting a lot of different clients, up to 450 clients. So 7610, if you're most interested in offering fast speeds, which I would say is pretty much a business setting for the most part, 7610 is ideal for you. If you're more interested in supporting a lot of clients like public areas, hotels, whatnot, the 7600 is probably the ideal option for you there. Pretty much explain GWN Cloud in depth. Again, all of our access points have the built-in controller software, but for multi-site and for centralized management with a mobile app, and for essentially unlimited, to be able to set up unlimited access points with unlimited networks and mostly unlimited sites, you want GWN Cloud. Again, it is fully free, has obviously a centralized web browser, but also has the GWN Cloud app for iOS and Android, works with all of our IPs, as I mentioned earlier, provides real-time AP and client monitoring, integrated statistics, reports, and alerts. And again, it is free with no limit on the amount of access points. You can simply and very easily sign up for it by going to gwn.cloud. That is the URL for it. So those are the access points, and between GWN Cloud and the controller, those are the way that you would set up and manage those Wi-Fi networks. So now, let's take it to the next level. One of the things that we've been talking a lot about here at Grandstream, and one of the things that we often talk with 888 VoIP is truly one of the most, we'll call it, biggest differentiators, and one of the most unique things that we offer here at Grandstream is the ability to build these Wi-Fi mobility solutions. Obviously, most people, when you think of Wi-Fi, you're thinking of smartphones and computers. With the advancement of Wi-Fi, now that Wi-Fi technology has gotten to the point where it is as fast and as reliable and offers the same quality as wired networks, a lot of businesses are moving over to truly wireless mobility solutions, which allows you within an office to set up basically communication networks that allow workers to take endpoints all over the place, that allow devices to, simply to be used or to be installed at a desk, simply just plugged in and connected back to the Wi-Fi network. Allows you to build truly wireless offices, supports mobility within an office, because as we all know, most of the time, many businesses are going to have truly immersive Wi-Fi networks that cover their entire business, the entire office. And therefore, you can get a Wi-Fi connection anywhere within it. You can roam around with cordless Wi-Fi devices. You can install desktop phones and move them around anywhere. And you can also obviously use our free soft phone app and make and receive calls on a smart device simply through Wi-Fi within any Wi-Fi setting. So this slide is a little bit old, I will admit. This slide talks about Wi-Fi voice. We're really going to be talking about Wi-Fi voice and Wi-Fi voice and video here. But if you were to Google this and to look into it a little bit more, see what other people are doing with it, Wi-Fi voice is traditionally what I see it called. I've seen it called voice over Wi-Fi. I'm personally trying to coin the phrase UC Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi UC, something like that, because I think that's a more representative term of what it is. And essentially what all of this is just extending SIP accounts out to devices through Wi-Fi rather than through direct wired connections. All you literally have to do is put access points on the same network as your PBX or as your VoIP network or your UC network, and they will work together to extend and allow you to connect to those SIP accounts through Wi-Fi. There's no special plans needed. It eliminates a majority of wiring, which is often the biggest headache within offices or within deployments. Allows you to create those truly wireless offices. And as we'll talk about later, because our devices have the QoS I talked about, it allows you to actually prioritize your critical UC traffic over Wi-Fi. So just to kind of summarize the advantages of Wi-Fi voice and video is what I'm going to change it to. allows you to utilize those immersive Wi-Fi networks, the Wi-Fi networks that any business is going to need to stay productive, to stay up to date. Now is what they can use to manage their, or to manage and set up and build an inter-office communication solution that really thrives on mobility. And that's the main thing here, unprecedented mobility. You can take these devices, and I'll go through the devices, the endpoints in a moment, anywhere within these offices and be able to get a connection, which is really kind of ideal for the whole open office environment that a lot of companies are moving to. It allows these devices, all the devices, to be extremely easily installed, especially for new office deployments. You don't have to run wires anywhere, not anywhere, it's not, you're gonna need some, but the majority of the network is all going to be done through Wi-Fi, which makes installation so much easier. It also, frankly, as you see on the right, streamlines ongoing management because it essentially puts your UC network and your Wi-Fi network together and allows you to kind of manage those from the same place. The other thing that it does in terms of streamlining management is it cuts out the miles and miles of wiring that are within any office, which are often the source of network issues. Last one that I skipped over there, the eco-friendly nature of it, because it cuts back on so much waste and really just cuts back on a lot of the hardware required to install or to create networks because it's all being done wirelessly. These Wi-Fi UC networks are becoming a major component of companies' green initiatives. All right, so here is an example or a visual of really what I'm talking about, or really what we're getting at here today with the mobility solutions. We started out with talking about our access points, our Wi-Fi management platforms, and now what's built around that with all of the different Wi-Fi endpoints, communication endpoints that we have. And as you'll see, we offer, we essentially offer a much larger portfolio of these devices, of these Wi-Fi compatible endpoints, communication endpoints, than pretty much anyone else on the market right now. So just to highlight a couple of them, our GXV series of Android IP video phones, the second best-selling line of video phones in the world, feature open Android, full access to the Google Play Store, basically it basically is an Android tablet with a video conferencing, video collaboration solution built into it, whether it be Android or SIP video, and a 16-line IP phone. Those devices all have built-in Wi-Fi. Allows you to, put them on a desk and install them as easily as connecting it back to the Wi-Fi network, because it has the video and the Android functionality. Really offers a very flexible desktop communication option that can be taken anywhere and simply installed by just putting it on a device or putting it on a desk and connecting it to Wi-Fi. One of our best-selling and really device that is made for what we're talking about here today is that WP series, the WP820, and I'm going to show you in a second, or towards the end of the webinar, that we're soon going to announce the next member of this WP series as well. These are cordless Wi-Fi phones. They allow you to go anywhere, again, connect through SIP through Wi-Fi, and really because these devices are cordless, really takes that mobility to the next level, allows you to take these devices anywhere within an office, a hotel, a school, whatnot, and be able to make and receive calls through Wi-Fi, right from a belt without needing to make sure, in comparison to DECT phones, without making, needing to have this separate system or network of DECT base stations set up. You've got your Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi access points, and here you go with your cordless device that can now become a cordless IP phone anywhere within the Wi-Fi connection. Our GVC3210, that is a 4K video conference, Android-based video conferencing solution that comes in at a sub-$1,000 price point, also has built-in Wi-Fi, so allows you to add video conferencing, video collaboration to huddle rooms or to smaller conference rooms, and to simply integrate that device and have all the connections go through Wi-Fi. Our GRP series, which I know we've covered in previous webinars and in other marketing with 888 VoIP recently, many of those new carrier-grade IP phones, which are really targeted at enterprises, service providers, multi-site businesses because of the capacity they offer, the line offers a full range of devices that move from basic up to high-end, all with the same design, all with the same firmware, all customizable. Many of them also have built-in Wi-Fi, which allows you to connect those devices, to integrate those, to make them a fully functioning SIP device, take them anywhere within an office, and connect through Wi-Fi. One of the newest additions to our Wi-Fi mobility, the Wi-Fi mobility solution, is our GSC series that you see on the bottom there. The GSC series we released in early August. Those are intercom speakers and microphones that allow you to, the intercom speakers and microphones is what they are. They all have built-in Wi-Fi, which allows you to essentially integrate them with the rest of the endpoints on your network and create an intercom and a paging network all through Wi-Fi without having to directly connect any of it. One of the unique things, especially in comparison to traditional paging and intercom networks, because the GSC series are SIP devices, it allows you to, rather than having to page an entire group of devices, page any specific device, any specific GSC series device on a network. One of the best examples here, and we have an education example later, is using the WP820, the cordless Wi-Fi phone, integrating that with a network that might have a GSC series in it to allow a principal or a security guard walking around to, if anything is needed, to just take the phone that they have in their pocket or is on their belt and make a paging or an intercom announcement all through Wi-Fi. Actually, I think on the next slide, we'll get to facility access through Wi-Fi as well. So this is just to kind of give you a visual example of what we're talking about. This example uses our UCM series of IP PBXs, one of the best-selling on-premise IP PBXs in the world. However, this solution that we're showing you here is going to work with pretty much, you can replace the UCM with a third-party service provider, a hosted platform, another PBX, whatnot, and you'll get the same functionality. So just a couple other Wi-Fi enabled endpoints that are on this slide that I hadn't shown you on the previous slide. Our GXP1760W, that is probably the most cost-effective Wi-Fi desktop device that we have. That is a mid-range device. The 1760W version has integrated Wi-Fi, built-in Wi-Fi. And one thing that I probably should have mentioned earlier, all of these endpoints that have Wi-Fi, it's built in. There's no dongle. There's nothing else you have to do to set it up. The functionality and the Wi-Fi chip is just built into the product. Again, there's no dongle or anything else. It's all supported just by the device naturally. Our GAC2500, our Android conferencing phone, also supports Wi-Fi, and that's especially a great option because it allows, with this type of deployment, because it allows you to essentially take that device anywhere in an office and have a group conference or a group meeting by, finding any open area, putting that device down, it'll connect to Wi-Fi, and you can turn literally any space into a meeting or a voice conference space. I'm just going to take a drink of water here real fast. So also important and a central component of this mobility solution that we offer is our free Grandstream Wave mobile app that is available for Android or iOS. It allows you to access up to 6 SIP accounts on any Android or iOS device, available through the Google Play Store or available through the Apple App Store. Again, allows you to turn any smart device into a fully functioning SIP phone to make and receive SIP calls on any smart device, whether you're in the office on Wi-Fi or out of the office on Wi-Fi. Obviously, this is a really great option in case maybe you don't need to or want to give somebody a specific desk phone. Maybe they're moving around a lot. Maybe they're not in the office all the time. Simply load this app on their device. When they're in the office, they can have a phone that connects to Wi-Fi, and allows them to make SIP calls from anywhere while also allowing them to do the same thing at home or traveling or wherever they may be. All right, we're about 28 minutes in. Should be able to wrap up here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So to kind of go a little bit more into the mobility solution and to relate it to more of, we'll call it a security element or facility access element, physical security element. Here is a visual of a great solution that businesses, or in my opinion, this is great for the education vertical, can set up an entire facility access solution that prevents people from getting in or that gives full control of who can and cannot get in to users throughout the building, whether it be through our WPA20 or through any of those Wi-Fi enabled devices you see on the right or that I talked to you about earlier. Obviously, so I should take a step back. All Grandstream phones, all Grandstream devices are out of the box able to open doors when called from our GDS series of door access cameras and devices. Here what we're talking about, and I think so through a traditional wired network, any of our phones could receive a call from the GDS, somebody's trying to get in, and you can, from those devices, press a button on the phone to let people in. What we're talking about here, and relating it specifically to today's topic, is probably specifically the WPA20, but also, again, any of those Wi-Fi devices where you can actually allow them, just by connecting through Wi-Fi and integrating the GDS and the network the GDS is on with a Wi-Fi network, communicate with it through Wi-Fi. The best example is the WPA20. Best example of that is in a school. It allows a security guard, it allows a principal or whatnot to roam around the school while with that cordless Wi-Fi device, always having the ability to make and receive SIP calls from anywhere within the facility, while now also being able to have full control of who can get in and who can get out. By the way, you could set up the GDS series, so when somebody arrives, it makes a call to, in this case, the WPA20. As you see in the picture there, you would actually see streaming video on the device. You could have a two-way voice and video, a two-way voice conversation, and then actually press a button on the device to let the person in, or to not press the device to not let them in. So it allows, through Wi-Fi, you to have full control of access to any specific facility. The WPA20 is the best example because it is truly a cordless device, but also offers the same functionality with any of our other Wi-Fi devices. And probably the next most powerful one in this example is our soft phone app running on any smart device in any facility or on any network. Allows that smart device to then not only make and receive SIP calls, but also be able to control physical security as well. Going to go through real fast here, and this I can get through because I think we've talked a lot about this. Some of the deployment examples of some of what I've talked about. Then after that, I'm just going to give you an idea of some of the features that allow us to, or allow you to build these mobility networks with our Wi-Fi devices that allow them to really focus on the UC connectivity. So pretty self-explanatory by looking at the chart here. Small, medium-sized business, you have GWN series access points integrated back with the SIP network. You're going to have video phones for executives or power users. You're going to have our GRP Wi-Fi phones for traditional staff, for those that are mobile or that are often moving around, security, managers, whatnot. Give them a WPA20 so that they can keep in touch and be reached anywhere within the facility without having to worry about going out of the Wi-Fi range. You've got our GSC series of speakers, SIP intercom speakers and microphones for common areas. And then for anyone that, we talked about who the Grandstream Wave or the free soft phone app is ideal for. anyone, remote workers or anyone for any other reason that maybe would just prefer to use their smartphone. It gives you the ability to roam around and make and receive SIP calls through Wi-Fi, whether you're in the office, on the office Wi-Fi network, or on any Wi-Fi network outside of the office. So here's a hotel again. A lot of the same kind of themes here. You've got in this case a little bit larger facility with a bunch of long-range access points. You're going to have directors, security, backend, critical staff going to have GXV Android video phones that obviously, as everything we're talking about here has built-in Wi-Fi, GRP series devices at the front desk for traditional users, security staff, maintenance staff, critical staff. Obviously, this is really important in hotels because they are very large, and as you can imagine, most of them are all going to have immersive Wi-Fi networks. So here you give them a WPA20 and they can be reached anywhere. GSC series, wow, sorry, I can't talk right now. GSC series intercom speakers and microphones in common areas, urgent staff or remote workers or whatnot with the Grandstream Wave mobile app. And here we're beginning to introduce the GDS series of facility access devices. Probably the best example for a hotel is at a freight entrance or a delivery entrance, so that somebody, when they show up and needs to signal in to be let in, can have that communication go out through Wi-Fi and most powerfully, allow somebody walking around with the WPA20 or Grandstream Wave to have full control over that, while also being able to make SIP calls. So retail stores and warehouses are, specifically retail stores, another great deployment example of this type of mobility solution. Because these stores are often so busy and have things running all over the place, and frankly, many stores are older and have outdated infrastructure, so to update or to install a new communication solution and run wires all over the place is often pretty complicated. It adds a lot of cost and a lot of complexity to it. Whereas in this case, obviously pretty much any store nowadays is going to offer both public and private Wi-Fi networks, so use those access points to install a communication network within the store to allow managers and securities and back offices to have access to it, while especially, another great option, point-of-sale locations where it's often hard to run wires to little kiosks in the middle of the store, put a GRP, for example, with Wi-Fi on there, or a WPA20, and allow you to communicate with any place, any location within a store without having to run wires to it. Again, you get the theme here, the GSC series in common areas or even in break rooms or whatnot to be able to make announcements or pages. Grandstream Wave mobile app, GDS, here probably for a retail store, again, for something like a freight entrance or a back room or a warehouse where only certain people can get in. I should also mention with the GDS series that this is obviously not really related to the mobility topic that we're talking about here, but those devices can also be set to make calls to pretty much any SIP device on a network. You can allow them to, they have a doorbell button. You can also use RFID cards or custom codes to allow people to get in. It's not the only way to, I'm trying to say that there's a lot of different ways people can get access to it. You don't have to rely on the device making a call to somebody else to manually let them in. PIN codes, RFID cards, a whole bunch of other ways as well. Education. I touched on this earlier. In my opinion, this is a really great example of this whole Wi-Fi mobility solution because of the security aspect of it. It allows any principal, security, maintenance staff with a WPA20 to basically roam around an entire school, be able to have anyone be able to call them on a cordless wireless device that they're carrying around or that's on their belt, while also giving them the ability to have full control of access to the facility if that's something you want to allow, specifically for security staff. Schools, obviously, access to schools and school security is probably more important and more critical than anywhere else, especially and probably, unfortunately, in today's day and age. And this adds a great mobility and security protocol that is very easy to use and very convenient for schools. All right, so about 38 minutes in, gonna wrap up here. Just a couple of more slides. I admit that I probably should have thrown these next couple of slides up before the deployment examples, but we already did it. So, as I talked about earlier, we started earlier talking about our Wi-Fi access points and management systems, and then we just went through all of the different endpoints that go around with it that allow you to build Wi-Fi mobility solutions. One of the things that we have done with our access points is we have built them with three specific features to allow them to really be ideal to set up these types of networks. There's frankly always been the ability to set something like this up, a Wi-Fi VoIP or Wi-Fi voice network. Obviously, traditionally, there hasn't been the wide variety of Wi-Fi enabled endpoints that there are now, but and the reason for that was because Wi-Fi technology just was not as good or as reliable as wired technology, and that is obviously changed, and they're basically wired and wireless offers you the same speeds, the same quality nowadays. So the two things that kind of always kept people, or that kept the industry from really being able to adopt these types of mobility solutions was Wi-Fi restrictions in general. Poor voice quality, either because of slow speeds or because there was nothing to allow you to prioritize the voice calls or your video calls through Wi-Fi networks, so they were competing with everything else. Traditionally, also, access points didn't really do anything to help with roaming, and it's always been up to the client, the Wi-Fi client, to facilitate that roaming. But traditionally, until recently, and for example with our GWN series device, the access points didn't do anything to help facilitate that, to create the seamless roaming. So we have added three different features into our devices, into our Wi-Fi access points, that makes them ideal to build and to anchor these types of mobility solutions we're talking about. The first thing is very simply built-in QoS. So within all of our GWN access points, within the web UI, you have the ability to access QoS and actually prioritize the type of traffic that you want to be prioritized on your network. And in the case that we're talking about here with these mobility solutions, mobility communication solutions, most of the time you're going to want to go in and tell your access points to prioritize voice and video traffic, so that when a call comes in, it's not competing with somebody who might be, surfing the web on their smart device or anything along those lines. So that is very simply one of the features and one of the innovations within our GWN series that allows them to ideally facilitate these types of networks, is that you can tell them to prioritize those unified communication traffic and packets. Now we're going to move over to roaming. As I mentioned earlier, traditionally, roaming is a decision that is fully facilitated by the client. And what we've done with our GWN series of access points is built three different features, one you see on here, one on the next slide, that actually allows our devices to play an active role in helping the client know what access points are on the network, have access to their security authentication information, to allow them to seamlessly roam from access point to access point, so that there is no drop off or anything, that the GWNs just pass the connection seamlessly from access point to access point. So Wi-Fi Voice Enterprise, which you see here on this slide, that is a feature of our access points that provides the Wi-Fi client a list of the nearby access points and their information. So the client knows, as it moves around, what other access points are on the network, where they are, and what their information is. Building on that, these two key features allow the device to kind of take that to the next level. So not only will your Wi-Fi client know with Wi-Fi Voice Enterprise what other access points are on the networks, but with pairwise master key caching, very technical term, I apologize. It eliminates the need for the client and the APs to re-verify and exchange authentication. And the reason for that is because the second feature there, opportunistic key caching, actually sends a copy of that security authentication information from each access point on the network to the client. So the client, when it needs to roam, it already knows what other access points are there. It doesn't, and it has a copy of the security and the authentication information so that it doesn't have to facilitate that when it moves from access point to access point. It's already set up, knows what the information is. There's nothing to exchange. It just seamlessly passes from one AP to the next. So those 4 features there are what really make our devices some things that we've built into these access points to make them ideal to facilitate these types of mobility solutions. All right, so I believe this is the last slide, and I wanted to touch on our DECT phones as well while we're here talking about mobility solutions. Obviously, we could do really a whole webinar on just kind of breaking down why you would use DECT and why you would use Wi-Fi. DECT is, for those of you that might prefer DECT or that have DECT wireless solutions in place, kind of the thing with DECT overall is that you're going to find the devices themselves are going to be a little bit lower in cost, but in terms of roaming and in terms of range, you're not going to get the same. That's really the main difference. But the DECT phones are traditionally going to be more cost effective. It's going to give you the ability to combine to combine DECT base stations. We offer 2, as you see on the right, with DECT handsets, the 3 that you see over there on the left, to build wireless mobility solutions, to voice solutions specifically, within an office where you're going to install the DECT base stations in an area centrally to where you want the devices to be used, and then it allows those DECT phones to, roam wirelessly, or roam is the wrong word, but to move around, be mobile throughout the facility, and if they're within range of these DECT base stations, to be able to make and receive SIP calls wirelessly through the DECT standard. Now, obviously, the difference here is that these require dedicated base stations in this case, whereas Wi-Fi is going to give you those access points, which not just work for your cordless devices, but also your desktop devices, and also pretty much every other range of communications endpoints. However, as I mentioned earlier, these DECT solutions traditionally are a little bit more cost effective. So that's kind of the differentiation between DECT and Wi-Fi. Yeah. All right, so last thing here, and I see we're about 45 minutes in, went a little bit longer than I'd expected to, my apologies on that. Just want to introduce you to a couple of different upcoming Wi-Fi products, basically a little bit of a sneak peek into a bunch of products that all relate to what we talked about here today. Our GXB 3350, that's going to be our new Android IP video phone. You can expect to see that in early November. That basically, for those of you familiar with our Android video phones, we have 2 other models that give you either an 8-inch or a 7-inch touchscreen with no hard keys. This 3350 is more or less the new version of the 3240. Gives you a 5-inch touchscreen, but also gives you all of the hard keys. So if you're looking for an Android video phone, but maybe you want to keep those hard keys, 3350 is ideal for you. We're also going to announce our GRP 2616, and actually as a little bit of a spoiler, we're actually going to, this has been moved up and will be officially announced tomorrow. That just came down this morning. Apologize for the little bit of last minute notice on that. But that device is the high end of our GRP series, 4.3-inch screen, has 2 LCD screens. That's the main thing with this device, like our GRP 2614. except this gives you a little bit bigger screen, more line keys, so it can support up to 48 virtual multi-purpose keys. So that's the new GRP 2616, will be officially announced tomorrow, probably should be available from 888 VoIP within, hopefully within a week or so afterwards. Potentially, actually, I shouldn't say that. I am not fully up to date with the shipping of it. They might be in stock sooner than that. But check those out, coming out very soon. Earlier mentioned a new version of our new model for the WP820, new model of our WP series. The WP stands for Wi-Fi phone, actually. WP810 is a little bit of a lower end version of our WP820. It's going to give you basically a little bit more cost-effective model, a little bit more streamlined, a little bit less talk time than you're going to get with the WP820. A couple other features that the 820 has that the WP810 does not have. So this will be more of a basic, simple, cordless Wi-Fi P-phone. And then all the way on the right there, and this is something that I think we're going to be probably focusing on in webinars to come, is a pretty exciting new type of product from us. We're calling it our HD Intercom and Facility Control Station. That is a Wi-Fi enabled device with a 7-inch touchscreen that basically gives you a dedicated panel to control facility access, to let people in, to let people out, to view live feeds from cameras, to receive alerts from your door access devices and your cameras on this device. As you can see, it is a fully functioning SIP phone, so it can essentially make calls out to any SIP device. And as you know, our IP cameras and our GDS series of facility access devices are all SIP devices, so communicating with them is literally just as easy as making a SIP call back and forth. We'll cover a lot more on the GSC 3570 soon. I would expect to see the WP810 and the 3570, the two products on the right, probably announced in January. We'll be announcing them for beta probably some point in time in November. 3350 will be available in about 2 weeks, and the 2616 is officially being announced tomorrow. All right, with that, that wraps up my presentation. As I mentioned, went a little bit longer than I had expected to go, but hopefully everybody got a lot out of that. This whole, mobility, UC mobility through Wi-Fi is really kind of a new topic. Really, in my opinion, and from what we see here at Grandstream, really it's kind of the VoIP deployment, the next generation of VoIP deployments. We covered all the reasons and the advantages to it. And as we talked about here today, we're really one of the only companies in the industry that offers all of the products and all of the solutions that you're going to need to build those mobility solutions: access points, Wi-Fi management, Wi-Fi endpoints, applications, and then also if you're looking for a little bit more of a cost-effective mobility solution, we have that great line of decked phones as well. So I'm going to switch back over. You'll see my video pop up here in a second, and if there are any questions, I will cover those now, so just bear with me here for a second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you have any questions, feel free to type them over in the chat, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can also use the question and answer, which is in the lower left-hand corner, which I see someone just used. I'm just going to turn my video back on here for a second. Require webcam sharing, accept. I just didn't want you guys looking at just a blank screen as we go through the questions here. So let me see what I got here. If you do have any questions, feel free to type them over. First question, certification training, a very good question. So we have, I would head on over to Grandstream Academy, which I believe is academy.grandstream.com. We've adjusted, we're in the process of really kind of adjusting a lot of areas of that training. There are 3 different levels within our certification training. There's kind of a lower level, basic level, And then there's which I believe we call the Grandstream Certified Professional. We have a middle level Grandstream Certified Specialist. That first level, you can just simply watch a video on our website, take a really easy exam to get certified. That second level are in-person training classes that would be run with 888 VoIP and with a Grandstream engineer, where you'd be sitting in a room, have a full day training. We have a variety of, there are 3 tracks for these trainings, one of them being Wi-Fi devices, which we talked about here today. That would cover specifically the access points, but would also go into creating and installing the types of networks we had here today. We also have our traditional UC route. We also have facility access route as well through those trainings. So I would definitely, in terms of certification trainings, check up on Grandstream Academy. We're always putting new trainings up there. You can take the simple basic level online at your free on your free time up there. And yeah, we should definitely also, I would encourage you to communicate back with 888 VoIP. We've pretty much we're going to start doing our trainings now on demand as they're requested. So if you're interested in getting training, I would definitely let 888 VoIP know, and we can work with them to set up a training very soon. Yeah, no, you bring up a good point, especially right now, because we've been essentially kind of redoing the requirements we have with our partners for the in-person trainings. We're probably pretty light on them right now, especially for the end of the year, but I would imagine that that's probably going to kick up quite a bit in January. But I will definitely pass on the need for a training on the East Coast. I'm here in Boston, so I certainly pay a little bit more attention to the trainings going on around here, and I certainly haven't seen any recently. So we'll work with, I'll take that feedback, go back to 888 VoIP and see if we can set up a training pretty soon. All right. Looks like for the most part that is all of the questions I have here for now. So for most of you, or for main purposes of the webinar, we'll wrap up here. I want to thank everybody for being with us here today. Every one of you that was here today will send out probably, what's today, Wednesday, potentially, most likely you'll get it early next week, but we'll send out a copy of the recording of this webinar. We'll send out the slides. I'll also send you a link to the case study that I mentioned earlier. So I'll hang around to answer any more questions that anybody has. Feel free to type them over through the chat or through the question and answer. But for everybody else, that's it for today. Appreciate you guys taking some time out of your busy schedules to learn a little bit about Grandstream. We are really excited, and like 888 VoIP, we really believe that this whole mobility solution that we talked about here today is really the next generation of VoIP deployments, and really something very unique that we're offering here at Grandstream, and one of the only companies in the world offering everything you need to set up those types of solutions. So once again, thanks for being with us here today. Hope to see you again at another Grandstream webinar soon, and have a great day.